I've been playing solo RPGs for years. 2 years of on-screen games here on Virtual Muse AI, and many more years off-screen before that. In that time, the most common musing I've heard from newcomers to the idea of solo RPGs is some variation of, I like the concept, but I don't know how to actually start a solo game. It makes sense that someone totally new to the idea of solo RPG would struggle to wrap their head around it, because often our whole conception of RPGs is based on them being a social experience. A group gathers and does the thing. The game is the reason for the group to get together, but it's a means to an end. The main part of the experience is the social dimension of it. So if our whole idea of what an RPG is rests on this basis of it being a group activity, it makes sense to wonder how a solo RPG can even exist. That sounds like an oxymoron. But there's absolutely nothing strange or confusing about reading a book alone, or painting a picture alone, or playing a video game alone. Think of solo RPGs in that way, a creative outlet where you can detach from reality, unwind, and engage with a narrative which is shaped exclusively by what you want to focus on and find interesting.
Solo RPGs allow players to tap into their own creativity and imagination without any external pressure or influence. It's amazing how much more freely people can express themselves when they're not worried about what others might think. Solo RPGs offer a unique space for self-expression and experimentation. It allows players to explore their own interests and passions within the game, which can lead to some really unique and engaging stories.
There are also other reasons to play an RPG solo. If you have a group playing one RPG system, but you're interested in trying another one, you can use a solo session or campaign to try that new RPG system, even without anyone else wanting to. The same goes for character and story ideas you want to delve into. By soloing the game, nobody else has to find it interesting or entertaining. The fact that you do is enough. The entire thing can be shaped by what you want to focus on and move at the pace you set. Or your group might not be able to meet one night, but you still want to play a game. In that case, it's easy to see the appeal of a solo RPG. There are definitely other reasons to play solo RPGs that I haven't listed here, and probably haven't even conceived of myself. That's the point. There's no set of objective answers about why someone might play RPG solo, because the entire thing can fit the player's ideas and preferences exactly. There are as many reasons to play solo RPGs as there are people playing solo RPGs, but that doesn't answer the basic question of how to actually start playing a solo game. Lots of people have laid out very good, ground-up explanations of how to do that, so we can't add anything groundbreaking. It's a truism that everything worth saying has already been said, but not everyone has heard it, so it has to be said again. In that spirit, we'll lay out some very simple steps an absolute beginner to solo RPGs could follow to start a game.
I think it's essential to consider the complexity level, theme, and genre support of the system. Some systems might be more rules-heavy, while others are more narrative-focused. The beginner's individual preferences will shape what appeals to them, and considering the game is solo, no one else needs to agree with their choice. Your own interests can guide you. Player preference should always be the top priority, and with solo gaming, it's even more important since it's a personal experience.
There are thousands of systems, so whether you prefer something crunchy and full of detailed rules or something vague, open-ended, and narrative-focused, there's a system for it. Maybe you already know something about various systems and have one in mind you want to use. But if you're starting from zero and the sheer number of systems available is too much, you can easily narrow it down according to what genre you're interested in and what kind of character you want to play.
A beginner can build a captivating character concept by reflecting on their own interests, passions, and values, and seeing how those can be woven into the character's background, goals, and motivations. For example, creating a warrior or a scholar character will have far-reaching ripple effects on the way the story unfolds. So by crafting a character you find interesting, you're also crafting a storyline you'll find interesting. By choosing a character concept that resonates with them, a beginner sets themselves up for a more engaging and meaningful experience. Creating immersive stories revolves around intriguing characters.
Once you have an idea about the kind of character you want to play, even in very broad terms like warrior or scholar, it will be much easier to pick a system to use, because different systems will have different areas of focus. If you want a game about traveling the world, a system focused on dungeon crawling might not be right. If you want a game about court intrigue and social challenges, a game focused on combat with monsters might not fit. After a couple tries, the character you want to play will make it easy and intuitive to choose a system which supports that.
We really can't overstate the importance of reflecting on your experience after completing a solo RPG, whether completing it means you finished the game or got stuck. Reflection after the fact helps you gain insights into the creative process and identify what worked well for you. Taking stock of what you enjoyed, what was frustrating, etc., will help make the experience feel smoother next time.
In general, RPGs are designed with the intent that they be played by more than one person. There are the players controlling characters, and there's a player controlling the game world, non-player characters, etc. This disconnect between the player characters and the game world is what lets them be surprised by events. Somebody else is controlling what happens and keeping them in the dark about aspects of the story. One way to turn an RPG into a solo experience is to use an oracle. We have a whole video dedicated specifically to what oracles are and how to use them. But for now, we'll summarize and say, oracles are there to make the prime mover of events in the game world something outside of your own head.
An oracle is a tool that provides random elements, surprises, or guidance to shape the story and gameplay, helping solo players navigate the narrative and create a unique experience. I think it's essential to consider the tone and atmosphere of the game when selecting an oracle. A lighthearted game might call for a playful oracle, whereas a darker game could benefit from a more ominous one. There are so many oracles to choose from, with different vibes to suit different games. As a beginner, you can experiment with different oracles to find what works best for you. Consider the level of complexity you're comfortable with and whether the oracle adds enough uncertainty without making the game feel too random or frustrating. It's all about striking a balance between imagination and practicality. Speaking of practicalities, different oracles work in very different ways, like with card draws, dice rolls, etc. There are prompt-based oracles, as well as more interpretive tools like tarot cards, or even everyday objects used as inspirational triggers. Sometimes, less is more with oracles. Feel free to think outside the box when it comes to incorporating them into solo RPG experiences.
If there's no oracle making things unpredictable, then you're writing a story, not playing a game. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's a different thing. As someone who does both things, that is, plays solo games and writes stories, I can give my perspective on how those are different, and why one sometimes has more appeal than the other. If I'm writing a story, I need to define a whole lot of stuff right from the start. Even if I don't develop details, I still need to know what the central themes of the story are, what the characters are after, where the story is ultimately going, etc. Basically, if I'm writing a story, I need to define what the story is. Sometimes that's appealing, if I like the story idea enough to choose it over all other possible story ideas. With a solo RPG, I don't need to define the story, only the character. Everything else evolves organically, so all the possible branches and twists in the story remain true simultaneously, and I never need to pick one to focus on at the expense of all the others.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. The organic evolution of the story in a solo RPG can lead to some really surprising and interesting plot twists, which can be a lot of fun to discover as you go along.
And that brings us to the actual gameplay. I included this as step 3 for the sake of having a better number of steps in the list. But really, once you have your character concept, your system, in your oracle ready to go, this part happens by itself. There's no step 3. By allowing the game to unfold naturally, that organic development of the story we talked about can happen.
And that natural unfolding can lead to some amazing moments of discovery and excitement, even for the player themselves. It's essential for beginners to remember that solo gaming is all about experimentation and playfulness. They shouldn't be too hard on themselves if their ideas aren't immediately brilliant. It's okay to try, fail, and learn from those experiences.
I think the RPG system itself and the prompts from the oracle make the creative aspects much less daunting and intimidating for beginners. It gives them a solid point to start from, rather than building something from scratch.
Absolutely. Having a foundation to work from can be really empowering for beginners, helping them feel more confident in their creative abilities. Every game can teach them something new, and it's all part of the fun. Let's end with an emphasis on the joy of exploring and discovering the solo RPG experience, and encourage players to keep an open mind and experiment with different approaches as they continue their journey. Remember, it's solo gaming, not solo engineering or solo biomedical research. It shouldn't be serious or intimidating. And I think that's what makes solo RPGs so appealing. They offer a chance to tap into your creativity and imagination in a low-pressure way. Mistakes don't exist in this context, just opportunities for growth. If you're still watching, remember to like the video and subscribe for more content like this.